Hi guys, my name is Noni Madikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel, the Noni M Podcast. So today, sine pleasure of having isvakashi sethu, Ubongani. Ubongani, guys, you all know him. He's that guy that is always willing to assist everyone when they are upcoming kwezi YouTube streets. Bongani, unjani, my brother?
Ngiyaphila yazi uright God.
Ndiyaphila enkosi, ndiyavuya ukuthi undigrace ngepresence yakho. So today thought why not ndizothi hi kubongani lana kwakhe. Guys, hey, ngelinye ilanga in fact let me not even do into enjalo apha. Ndizoyenza kwam, you know what I mean when I say that. So Bongani, namhlanje ndifuna sibe ne discussion nje. There's a lot of things that are happening in our country.
Including but not limited to the Madanga Commission that seeks to tell us something that we somehow didn't think that sizoyiza kodwa sesiyayiza, you know. Senzo Meyiwa trial also is showing up a little bit there. You know, there are a lot. Hey, khona no Shonile Paris asikho lapha, khona no Gulayo Dumsana bezanga. Hey, kuning man, kuning.
You know what, singathetha kutshonilanga if we were to go on and discuss nje everything that is happening in our country right now. But for me, the Madlanga Commission, my interest, I think it's everybody's interest actually. Abantu who are following the Senzo Meyiwa case, their interest. Kuya yonke lento yenza, there's one particular name that we are interested in.
Wait, let me take a guess. That is none other than a name that was linked to the Senzo Meyiwa trial many years ago. A man who is not stranger to courts, right? A man who's not a stranger to controversy. A man who's not a stranger to being linked to somewhere, some people under what, right?
Yeah, you can say all of that. Yeah. You know what? At some point, I think us as South Africans, or let me say as YouTubers, we were people that were like, so you can all busy gams, has him busy, please say cool. But you know what? At this point, no. We are to call that name without fear because Aishem Uzo Senzan, is he also going to take us to court in Jango Patricia Mach?
But yeah, you know what? Let's go back a bit, backtrack. Senzo Meyiwa trial happens, and when it happens, there were some allegations that a big name in the South African Police Service was there, allegedly. So things happened. Madanga Commission, right? Mm-hmm. Let's tie it back. What happened that links it back to the Senzo Meyiwa trial? Maybe let's just go there.
Exactly. That's where I want us to be today. I want us to tackle that topic, Yoguti. What do we think is going to come out as people that religiously follow the Senzo Meyiwa trial? And I think for most of us, our interest is exactly knowing because there are things that were said by mostly, or there is something that was said by General Masemula. He said, General Spea, he had interest in getting dockets of the cold case unit. And I think for all of us, there's one thing that triggered. We were like, Aibo.
No. Let's correct one thing. Mm-hmm. Not dockets. He wanted the unit to be under him, not the dockets. So when you say you want the unit to be under you, you basically controls everything. You know the investigators, what they are investigating, when they are, you basically updated on each and every single thing that they do. So he wanted the entire unit under him. That's what we heard from Fanema Semele. And when I heard that, I was like, it's quite interesting. Because remember that the unit that was not under him was the political killing task teams. Mm-hmm. That's why he requested the dockets then. Because the unit, they said, this one, no, you don't touch this one. That's why
it's a special unit.
Yeah, that's what it's. But this one, he wanted it. And you know what? When I was listening to Fanema Semele, he says the first time when he got appointed, he had an interest there. And they were like, why are you interested there? Why do you think he was interested in the cold case unit?
He was, because now the reason it triggered me when I heard General Masemula talking about that, it was the first time we heard about this unit, the cold case, it was during the Senzo Meyiwa trial. And then we are like, the case that we know as cold case is the Senzo Meyiwa murder case. And then when you think about Aibo, we heard that there was something that happened back in the day. If you remember in 2018, February, April, up to April, somewhere in 2018, there was an account on Twitter that was indaba regarding the Senzo Meyiwa case. So that's why we were even shocked when the current Brigadier Gininda was saying that this case, nothing was happening to it, because every year people were talking about it, especially on Twitter, currently known as X. They were always Senzo Meyiwa case, Senzo Meyiwa. So we were surprised when he said there was nothing. Then we heard the news, we will say it was a gossip at that time, that certain things happened. That is why there is no progress in that case. He said, okay, we'll say it's a he because we don't know the person that owned the account, but the account's name was the man, not Bribery. He said that there was a bribery. He accused Mr. Chikotwala that he bribed Shedrack Spea. 1 million rand. There was an article that was written, I think was it Daily Maverick or something, but there was an article Independent paper wrote about that. And then he denied that flat. He said there's no such thing. And yes, there is no blueprint where we can say this is what we saw. That was my thought. I was like, if back then those things were said, and then when he comes back to the force, he says, I'm interested in that unit.
That's quite interesting. You know what? Some people don't know. You see that person you're talking about, men not
Bribery.
Men not Bribery, right? Do you know that used to be a ghost account, right?
Yes.
Do you know who tracked that person?
Mr. Twala.
It's actually not Twala.
Who?
The person who tracked that person is in the South African Police Service. They worked with they had to collaborate with the FBI for them to track that account. They had tried tracking that account. I have first-hand information. It is someone from the South African Police Service at the top. That person who had an interest in the South African, in the cold case unit. They were involved in tracking down. They wanted that name. When people on Twitter said, so-and-so tracked this person until they got to know their name, they are not joking. It's not a joke. I heard it from first-hand individual, like first-hand individual.
Hang on, Bongali. Hang on. The reason I was saying that, we want this information. The reason I was saying that it's Chikotwala who was, because he did interviews and said such that he's looking for that person. Also, because we were asking, why are you interested if this story has nothing to do with you, for starters? And you are saying that your son had nothing to do with the actual unaliving of Senzo. So why are you interested? That's where most of South Africans were at the time. So now when you are coming and saying that, SEPS, then it makes sense, because that person, I remember the police minister at that time was Fikile Mbalula. And that person kept on giving time frames. If this does not happen at this time, Fikile, this is what I'm going to do. So come with it.
They were not comfortable with that individual. They wanted to deal with the person. They were tracking this individual throughout the country. Then they sat down with somebody within the FBI, tracking down this person until they found this individual. But another thing that you need to consider as well is that you must notice that there was a point in time where stories were written about General Spea, right?
Yes.
You must notice that two local journalists backtrack on their stories that they published. Why do you think the local they backtrack? What happened? Which evidence? Because some newspapers came back and backtracked on their first articles. Why do you think they backtrack on their articles?
There's one thing that is famous in SA. When journalists backtrack, it's either they lied about you or they were threatened.
I can tell you now first-hand information. Something had to happen for the journalist to backtrack on the story, and I heard it from first-hand. I know first-hand because, one day I'll tell you guys why I know, how I know the story, how I know that this person was traced, how I know that journalists had to backtrack. I will tell you. It was not a joke one day when I say Some content creators, they know that they've eaten from the money slash fund, money trucks. They know that some people have eaten from that money. I was not joking, and it's not a joke, and I'm still saying, if Mkhwanazi was me, I will investigate all of us content creators, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube content creators, some of us, and journalists too. But some of the journalists that had to backtrack, it was not because they have received the money.
But they were threatened. Okay.
They had to choose between life and the
reporting.
truth.
Maybe that is why then journalism in SA is a bit taking now, because most of the time the reporting that we get from journalism is not ayoba at all. We cannot run away from that. We have seen how they report things. They are very selective on what they report. There will be things that are happening in situations, and they will select a certain narrative that does not sit well with people who were also witnessing what they were witnessing. So I understand.
But okay, going back to this local to this thing there, the point that we're driving home here is there is something that is unfolding on the Madanga Commission,
yes,
that is tied exactly back on the Senzo Meyiwa trial. So some of the revelations that are happening, if you followed the trial, you will realize that time, man. There are names here. On the left, these names are appearing, but also on the right, these names are appearing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, for things that we've said which are not proven, well, take it with a pinch of salt and use the word allegedly. But some of them, we will use the word allegedly, not because we can't prove them, but because, there are a lot of people that will be needed to prove something. So take it with a pinch of salt and use the word allegedly for now.
Yes, because some of the things that we are talking about right here, right now, it's things that are already out there anyway. And on top of that, the reason we are talking about the Madlanga Commission to begin with, it's because I'm personally starting to see Ukuti, hi man, if Uncle Shadrach Spea is going to be mentioned there, and with these allegations of fraud, corruption and stuff, then it means there is, we already see, some of the people in SA already see that. In fact, I think most of the people in SA already see something is wrong with the Senzo Meyiwa case, because it's not making sense. Having 5 people, they say 2 people entered, and then you can't even describe certain things that are happening there inside that courtroom while we are watching. So there's a lot of things that are questionable when it comes to that case. But that being said, there is this name of Shadrach Spea that is always lingering on certain situations that are not right, things that are questionable that are happening. We know all of those things. We're not going to dwell on that. But when it comes to the Madlanga Commission painting him as that kind of a character, then that thing takes us back to the Senzo Meyiwa case. I think it was the second time where we heard his name in a not so right light. Because in the Senzo Meyiwa case, when they spoke about him, we heard Constable Zungu saying that he was present back in 2020. In 2019, whereas we know in 2019 he was not working for SEPS. I used to make a mistake of saying that he was not working for SEPS in 2014, all to find out, no, he was fired for SEPS 2015. The time that he was not working for SEPS, it was 2019 when there was that meeting in Glorycorp. So there is something that is not right there. Why we are saying he has interest is because when he went back to the SEPS, he's asking to get a unit that has the Senzo Meyiwa case.
That's very interesting. You know what's interesting? It is interesting because when you think about everything that have happened in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, right? Mm-hmm. And then you listen to Local General Dumsan, and then it describes people that forms part and parcel of the cartel. I was listening to him very attentively. Some of the things that he said, it caught my attention. He said, for people to qualify to be members of the cartel, they need to be in trouble with the law and prove that they escape. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying somebody escaped. I'm not saying somebody survived. So many things. I'm saying the qualification stated or detailed or given by General Khumalo is that you need to be in trouble with the law now and again for you to qualify there. Then you get your expertise. You understand? These 2 things makes you a perfect member of the cartel. So you then have to say, let me leave it there for now.
Because now we have the top 3 that is sitting there. It's empty, doesn't have people's names.
Yes. Yes. Tell me something. But I doubt some of the members of the SAPS will appear as the
Big 5.
Yes. I think they will. They are the second in command.
Okay.
I don't think they are the real deal in a way that you are the mafia. I think they are the pawn in a chess. They are used so long as they occupy certain positions. And they are paid well that they can give people anything and everything. Oh, okay. Let me make it make sense to you. Do you remember the detectives that were investigating Swartzmed?
Yes.
Do you remember where that they were called somewhere? Mm-hmm. What were they told? There were 3 brown envelopes. One for them, one for the magistrate. I forgot the third one. Was it for who? Where was that money coming from? It tells you that there are police officers who has unlimited cash, but they need to use their position of influence to influence decision in favor of the cartels. Continue.
Okay. Now you're making me think when you're talking about police officers that have unlimited cash. There's that fund account, Yago CI. Mm-hmm. That fund account, in these already out there affidavits, they don't actually tell us what is it exactly for, except for that there are millions of rands in that slash account. And now when you talk about things that are happening and people that are getting monies from somewhere, then you think of that slash account, but that's not what we want to focus on because we don't know what's going on with that. But when you talk about them never being in the big 5, it makes sense because the big 5 needs someone who's going to operate for them on the ground, whether it's the top ground, middle ground, whatever ground, but someone is needed. And then the general, if those messages are anything to go by, because they are still to be proven, right? Then it means we are still yet to hear about messages that say him has done this, him do this for me, or Kate speaking to him directly. Now I'm waiting for those things. But one thing that I'm talking about per se in this video is that his name is always found in things that are not so nice. Controversies are always following him. And wherever he goes, there is always trouble that is looking very bad.
It's like troubles have the exact location General Spea. No matter where he goes, they know they just punch the GPS coordinate and they locate Spea. That is what I've noticed. Whether he was in the subs back in the days, he has always been in court. Whether he was working for the Johannesburg Lokochobek City, he was in trouble. Back in the South African Police Service, still in trouble. It's like problems have the direct contact with Spea. Problems in Spea. Same WhatsApp group.
As we are wrapping up, I must say I am pleased with him not saying anything yet. Big up to lawyer yake. He did or she did a great job at this present time, because I was thinking when Mkwanazi started talking, he is going to go again and do the interviews. Someone actually told him shush, because the mess that he did when he was doing those interviews when that 6 July press conference happened, I don't think he's going to recover from that. And I also do not think that he is going to recover from these allegations right now. But one thing for sure, he knows something about the Senzo Meyiwa case. If you've watched the Netflix documentary, one thing that he said there is that when he got there, the crime scene was contaminated. So that alone is a problem, isn't it, when it comes to evidence? So now, when they are saying that we've got 5 people and then the stories of the people that are supposed to be eyewitnesses is not making sense, then there is a problem. So that is why I feel Ukuti, he needs to be called in that courtroom of the Senzo Meyiwa trial to come actually and explain certain issues. What did he mean, Ukuti, there was a problem with the crime scene? Then if there was a problem with the crime scene, if the rumors, because there's always allegations when it comes to that case, there are allegations that Kelly Khumalo, from the first time we heard that, it was Brigadier Geninda, that she is the mastermind. Other people want to believe that the mastermind is Mandisa. And many are times that Zandile Khumalo, who was the eyewitness, is one of the people that were saying, why not Mandisa be investigated? And then when it comes to that, we've got an accused number 5. Accused number 5, in all the cases that we've heard of, he does not have a co-accused. He does not have a co-accused.
You know, when it comes to accused number 5 is one of the guy that you don't mess with accused number 5. Accused number 5 is this guy. Accused number 5 and Mkwanas have the same attitude. Let me tell you what Mkwanas said. Live on the commission. That's mina umuntu angimzeli mina angizi ngemuva mina angigegi mina angijikajiki mina ngigudla iguma mina ngiqonda ngqo. That is accused number 5 has the same attitude. If accused number 5 wants to deal with you, he doesn't invite ibandla. He will deal with you one man.
So that's why it will never make sense ukuthi he is the one that was organizing. He was an organizer or a coordinator. He would have done that job if it was a job to begin with. But the allegations are still out there that are not yet proven anyway. Ukuthi, the firearm was brought by Chico's son.
But before you get to the firearm, we are still waiting for Makubo, by the way, who is the investigator that arrested accused number 5, who says, at the time you said he was there, the one who was following him, you are lying. So we're still going there, by the way. Just
so
for the sake of reminder.
So there's still that.
Exactly. It's going to be interesting.
And also, speaking of Makubo was one of the investigators that was called allegedly by General Spea at the crime scene back in 2014. So he also has a lot of things that he knows, that he can bring light when it comes to this case. To wrap it up, please, what are your thoughts when it comes to the entire situation? Because me, when I say I'm watching the Madanga Commission, I'm looking forward to a day whereby they mention the Senzo Meyiwa case and extensively.
I would have loved to know the relationship between Brigadier Geninda and General Spea. Somehow, somewhere, I always suspect that. Yeah, I think there's a relationship here. Allegedly. But, you know what? There's something about Geninda and Spea that looks similar. That sounds similar. When you're looking at wherever they go, there's always question marks. Wherever they pass, there's always question marks. That's same thing. Just that Geninda, he's able to cover his tricks enough that he hasn't gotten arrested. But when you're looking at even the other cases, man, that he has dealt with, there's always that dark cloud. It's never like fair and square, done. Even if you are looking for an evidence to produce against his case, you will not win it. No, it's always like there's always that one thing about Geninda that is a dark cloud hanging over his investigations. So you feel like, hey, you guys, there's something common about you. Are you not really friends? So that's one. Two, I would have loved to see like a bit of details. Who is Spea? Because clearly we don't understand Spea. General Spea, we don't know Spea. That man, I spoke to different people, even private investigators, by the way. When they some of them, when you ask them about Spea, some will tell you, no, I would rather not talk about that person. Some people who have been in the South African Police Service, they will be like, no, that name, they don't want to mention that name. So what we know, I think it's the ice. It's called what?
It's a drop in the
something around
ocean
that.
Or ice. Don't tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg. Yes. Why I'm saying that? Why do you think General Mkwanas says there was this thing? This minister was trying to create a reconciliation. Why was there a reconciliation between General Mkwanas and Spea? I think we should ask that question because Mkwanas confirmed that, hey, I've never met that man. But people who have never met, they were already at loggerhead. Why? We should be asking a question. Why? People who have never met, the first time they met, it was because it was to reconcile them. First time meeting, they were already at loggerhead. Why? Spea, look, Mkhwanazi tells you there can never be peace between criminals and police. Why does Mkhwanazi tells Loko Spea live on television? Try me. If you think I'm defaming you, just go and open a case. I'll bring the proof. That's what Mkhwanazi was saying. Go and open a case. If I'm defaming you, go and open a case. I'll bring the proof. Why does Mkhwanazi say it boldly? That they can never, that you are a criminal. Why? When you listen to this in private investigators and other investigators, you get to see that we don't know Spea. We are yet to be introduced to Spea.
Anyway, thank you so much, Bongani, for gracing me with your presence. But there's a lot of things that we can cover when it comes to that name, General Spea. But hey, we will see what's going to unfold when it comes to the Madanga Commission. We are yet to still witness if there is anything that they bring that is tangible, that can go as much as having a criminal case against him. I don't know. Lastly, one thing that I want to say, there was Mr. Jackie Silebi at some point in SA, and he was a big cop. He was doing things great, and the fall from grace for that man.
Take everything that we said with a pinch of salt and use the word allegedly.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.